To make your text content as legible and approachable as possible, it's important to lay it out properly. That means applying proper text formatting to your content. To make this as easy as possible, WordPress comes with a ton of tools built in precisely for this purpose. In fact, working with text in WordPress is not all that different from working with text in a regular word processing application. That said, all text formatting should be done within WordPress. Here I have a post that I've already created. If you don't have a post that you can work on, simply go to New and Posts, or you can go to Posts and click Add New and just create a post. After creating some basic text content, we can start formatting it, and we have lots of tools at our disposal. If you open WordPress for the first time, you might only see this first line of tools here. If so, go to the end of the line on the right and click on the Show Hide Kitchen Sink button to open the second row of buttons. That way, you get all the functionality that's built into WordPress, and you can use all of it to format your text. The edit area inside WordPress has all the standard formatting tools you might expect. Things like bold, italicize, and underline. And it even has a very popular Blogger tool called Strike Through, which draws a line through the text. You can also do things like create bullet or unordered lists and numbered or ordered lists. This works exactly the same as it would in a word processing application. You create a new line, you start typing something, and then you click the bullet to create a bullet list. When you hit enter, you create a new list item. And if you want to get out of it, you create a new line, and then you click on the button again, and you're back to a regular paragraph. The same goes for the ordered list. If you click the ordered list button, you get a numbered list. And again, when you want to get out of it, you simply create a new line and uncheck the button. In web publishing, you have a special kind of formatting for when you quote people. It's called a block quote. And the way it works is you find a quote in your text. So here's a quote. You put it on its own paragraph. So I'll split it apart. I'll place my cursor anywhere inside it and click the block quote button. This indents my text and will make it display slightly differently in my posts. Moving on to the other tools, here you have the regular alignment tools. I recommend you never ever use these, simply because not all themes support alignment, and in many cases, using the alignment tools will really mess things up. So stay away from the alignment tools as much as possible. You also have the link tools that we'll cover in a later movie. And you have the Insert More tag, which is the breakpoint. To insert a breakpoint, you simply place your cursor wherever you want the story to break and click the Insert More tag button. A breakpoint is added here. Now this breakpoint will appear on places like the front page, meaning that if you display this story in an index, you'll see the beginning of the text here, and then there'll be a link at the bottom saying something like, click here to read the full story, or click here for more. And when people click on it, they get to the full story. Next to the More tag, you have a spell checker where you can toggle the spell checker on and off. And you see right now it's flagging all these names. You can also pick what language you want it to spell check for. There are a lot of different languages to choose from. And it'll help you make sure that your language is correct. Next to the spell checker is a really cool option that few people use. It's called the toggle full screen mode, and if you click it, the full screen mode takes over your page. Now you have a completely distraction-free environment where you can write your stories without seeing all these other things hovering around. You can do most of the same text formatting in the distraction-free writing area as you can in the regular text editor. To get to those functions though, you have to move your mouse up to the top, and you see they'll appear at the top here. When you're done writing your story in the distraction-free mode, you can click Exit Full Screen, and you'll jump back to the regular view. On the second line, you have more advanced tools. And this is one of the main reasons I think it's so weird that this second line is usually hidden under the kitchen sink button. Because this box at the very beginning, the one that right now says paragraph, is maybe one of the most important tools inside this whole toolkit. I'll show you how to use it. When you write stories, you tend to have subheadings. So let's say there's a subheading here. You always want to make sure that that subheading is formatted properly. To do that, I use this dropdown to pick what this is. In this case, it's a subheading, and I'm going to set it as heading 2. Now, I chose heading 2 because of how the web is set up. Generally, when you find a page of content on the web, what you want to see is that the main heading, the first line of text you see on the story, should be heading 1. And then any subheading under there should be either heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, or heading 6, depending on how they relate to each other. What you want to do is create text where you can clearly see the hierarchy of the different headings based on where they're placed and how they're styled. So as you write your content, if you have a subheading and it's a main subheading, then you assign it heading 2. If it's a heading underneath a subheading, then you assign it heading 3, and so on. By doing this, you're not only telling your readers what is more important in your story, but you're also telling the search engines how to index your content properly, and that's what really matters. So using this dropdown effectively and assigning the correct headings at all times will mean that your content will be easier for people to understand. Next to the paragraph button, we have the underline button that we've already talked about, and you also have the justify or align full button, which is just like the other alignment buttons. You should never use this button. And then you have a color button that you should also never use. It basically assigns colors to your font, but your theme should do that for you, and in many cases, it'll just mess up your text. Next to the color, you have the 2 paste buttons. These allow you to paste in text either as plain text or to paste content directly from Microsoft Word. I recommend you always use the paste as plain text button. When you click on it, it opens a window. You paste in your content from whatever text editor you got it from here, and then you click insert, and it gets inserted in without any kind of code attached to it. It's a great way of pasting content from the web or from documents into your page without that in the process breaking anything. Next to the page buttons, you have a remove formatting button. The way it works is you highlight some content that already has formatting attached to it, like this content, which has an underline to it, and you click remove formatting. Now, of course, you can do the same by simply toggling or untoggling this button, but in some cases, this works just as well. On the kitchen sink, you also have a little used but very useful tool, which allows you to install symbols. So let's say I want a pi symbol. I can click on this, and I get a full symbol map where I can find the pi symbol if I look very carefully. It's over here. And I can insert it in. So that's great if you're doing mathematical formulas, or if you want to say something like easy as pi. Next to that, you have the indent functions. These are great if you want to have lists with multiple different levels. So let's say I have a sub item here. I can use the indent function to indent the sub item so that it's indented from the main item. If I don't want it to be indented, I can then click again. It'll jump back to the main position. And I also have undo and redo buttons. As you can see, the text editing functionality inside WordPress is quite advanced, and if you use it wisely, you can make very nicely laid out content that's easy to understand and has the right headings and the right highlightings in the right places.